2.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and being a producer of Wrestle Massacre as well as Inside Movies Galore, I am David Strege, and welcome to Delusions of Grandeur. Enjoy the reviews. I certainly did.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting film journey here on Delusions of Grandeur. I am one of your hosts, but today we are going to be finalizing at least the initial. Well, maybe I should leave this up to the squab. So, what movie did you subject us to this week, so that the audience can know a little bit about what we're going to be discussing?
So this week it's the movie Rings, but not the short movie of the same title from 2005, but a full feature movie from 2017, which is technically The Ring 3, which for some reason they decided to name Rings instead. It's the third part of the American Ring horror franchise. It was directed by Javier Gutiérrez, written by David Luca, Jacob Estes, and Akiva Goldsman, starring Matilda Lutz, Alex Rowe, Johnny Galecki, who we know from The Big Bang Theory, most of us.
Yep.
And maybe we should also mention Bonnie Morgan as Samara Morgan. And who else? Amy T. Garden as Sky, Vincent D'Onofrio as Burke, and so on. Okay.
Yep, and Vincent D.R. Whatever his name is. I know. We know him from Criminal Intent or Law and Order Criminal Intent, and he was a weird character there too. But I also know him from a sci-fi movie called Imposter.
Oh, interesting. Well, I can check out where I might know him from. Oh. Well, at the first glance, nothing is quite catching. Oh, Emerald City from 2017. Did we do that when we were doing the Wizard of Oz stuff?
I'm assuming that's the television show.
Oh yeah, 10 episodes, so it's not the one we did.
Nope.
Yeah. So, is this the first time you guys watched this movie, and what were your first impressions?
No, I do believe that we actually did watch it once, but only once. I believe because I had actually gotten my a copy, and I'm pretty sure that she and I watched it at one point in time, but it's been a while, so I didn't quite know how it started. Where I do remember the Vincent guy. Didn't remember he was the priest, but you know, it is what it is. So, and I enjoyed it at the time. I know it had mixed reviews at the time that it came out. It wasn't exactly. I think it had a theatrical run.
Pretty sure yes, definitely. I saw it in theaters myself.
Not sure how long it lasted. I don't think it made its entire money back, but because it is a money cow, I'm sure it kind of sort of did, but it probably wasn't as big as the first two were. So I know I waited until I actually had it on DVD to watch, and I was okay with it at the time. I'm still okay with it. There are some shocking moments, and when I say shocking, there are some shocking moments. But
Yeah, we could say so.
But it was entertaining at the time. It was entertaining again, so I'm glad I resaw it.
Ooh,
Tammy?
nice.
Yeah, I believe we did see it when you first got it. I didn't remember that much of it when I was watching it, but I do remember. I do believe we did see it. So, yeah, I thought it was pretty decent. It was, a different little twist as everything, that I wasn't totally expecting.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah. Instead of having the mother locked up in some psych ward, it seems like she was locked up in this priest's basement.
Damn,
Which,
yeah. In the second movie, it was said that she gave birth in that orphanage or whatever it was, with the nuns and stuff.
yeah, but this didn't look like an orphanage. This looked like a prison,
Yeah,
specifically
definitely.
for her. So this movie could almost be an alternate number two.
Pretty much, yeah. They. That's actually my one major issue with it, that they didn't pay enough attention not to screw up the pre-established lore.
Well, that's why it wasn't a three, because they weren't really following the lore that they had already explored. So,
Huh.
and spoiler alert, ladies and gentlemen, man, I know I somewhat I kind of went forward and stated a few of the later things that happened in the movie. So,
Kind of, yeah. Uh, do you have anything to add to your first impressions?
No, we should probably just get into it, I guess.
okay.
So,
What about
for
your first impressions of this movie? Was this a first time watch for you, Boris?
no, it wasn't the first time, but it was the third time. While I saw the previous Ring movies quite several times, this one I watched only twice before, and this was my third time. I didn't analyze it as much as I did the previous ones. And since I was a huge fan of the previous Ring franchise, this movie, well, I can't deny that I did enjoy it, but I have very mixed feelings about it. One thing I definitely like about it is that since I saw it in theaters and I didn't see the previous two in theaters, this one gave me an opportunity to see some interesting ring moments on the big screen. So that's one thing I really appreciate it for. And it was definitely thrilling and suspenseful and mysterious enough. So I have to give it credits for that. And one thing I'd say is pretty cool about it is that it tried to answer some questions that fans of the previous two movies have had in their heads for all those years, like questions like what would Samara do if a victim was fighting back? Like what if someone broke the screen while she is coming out, or what if someone turned the screen towards the floor so that she cannot come out, or what if the only screen around was a phone and it was too small for her to crawl through? Or what if the person in their deadline moment wasn't near a screen, like the guy on the airplane at the beginning? Those are some questions that people were asking throughout all the years, and those questions were never directly answered. And this movie gives very much specific answers to those questions. So that's one thing I have to give it credit for. But like I've already said, it really screwed up the pre-established lore royally, and that's especially the timeline continuity. Like this movie says that Evelyn disappeared 30 years ago, which is very much impossible if we calculate the years mentioned in the previous movies. Like the first Ring movie, I guess, takes place in 2002, and it says that Anna Morgan, the woman who adopted Samara, was dead for 24 years, and since there was a huge time lapse between that movie and this one, so it's impossible that Evelyn was missing for only 30 years. Like, that's a huge miscalculation on their part. And yeah, as you have already pointed out, Dave, they in the Ring 2, it was said that Evelyn gave birth in that orphanage or whatever it was. And this movie implies that she gave birth while she was still in prison, which is another major screw up.
Yeah, kind of, sort of, and that's the backstory that they seem to go with you know, and also, to me, it was the father who kept her imprisoned, and
uh,
in the first two, if I remember correctly, because she was imprisoned in that room that was in the loft.
in the barn.
In the barn.
Yeah, in that case, it was her adoptive father who kept her imprisoned there. But here we are talking about Samara's biological mother. Actually, she was the one being imprisoned here. But
Well,
yeah,
and it was implied that the priest was the father um, of Samara.
yes, the biological father, which is another thing I have very mixed feelings about because. The Ring 2 implied, it didn't directly state so, but it was heavily implied that Evelyn was impregnated by supernatural means by some spiritual entity from the ocean, which is very much in accordance with how Sadako in the Japanese version was conceived. And here they completely threw that concept out through the window, and poof, Evelyn was impregnated by some random asshole who raped her. Like, give me a break.
But yeah, and there appeared to be like some flooding that had happened at one point in time, which is why the body was removed or something like that, which I'm sure we'll get into once you give us the rundown down a little bit more of the plot. But it was while the girl was searching, that she figured out like in that whatever valley that she went to, because it turns out that there was a video embedded in the video that she watched, and it was specifically meant for her and her eyes only.
Oh
And
yeah.
That was different too, because the video they realized that it was meant for her only, because things got added to the video.
yep.
Yeah, and I think I'm not 100% sure, but the similarities are way too many, and I'm not sure it can be a coincidence. I think they took quite a bit of inspiration for this movie from the Japanese sequel, Spiral, if you remember that one.
Yeah, just a
Like
little bit.
the mutations of the virus and Sadako being reborn. Oops, spoiler.
Yep. Well, there just so happens to be a mark on the girl's hand that they later find out is in fact Grail, and well, let's get into the plot, and we'll uncover it as we go. Go. How about that?
Ooh, fair enough. So, at the very beginning, yeah, there is an airplane flight, and there is a man on the airplane who watched Samara's videotape exactly 7 days ago. And in his final moments, he has not made a copy of the tape, but he is in a place where some people who saw the previous movies would think Samara cannot hurt him, right?
Right.
Yeah, but it turns out she can do even worse than that and cause a lot of collateral damage, as we find out in this scene.
Oh
Uh, so, yeah, since there may not be a classic TV or anything like that, but there are some screens in all the devices contained in an airplane, and they all go nuts and show imagery from Samara's videotape, and she, I guess, comes out of one of those screens and poof, spun out the entire airplane.
well, I believe I don't know. He's a, there's a young man. I'm not sure his name, but he is sitting next to another girl, and she notices that he's sweating and nervous and all that jazz. And she's like, "Sometimes it helps talking." And,
Yeah.
and that's when he goes into like this explanation of this. Have you ever heard of this videotape? You know, and that's how it always begins.
By the way, Wikipedia says the guy's name was Carter.
Okay, Carter then, but he's explaining it to a. We don't. I don't know her name, but he's explaining it to a girl.
Uh, yeah, some stranger, I guess, but there is another girl on the
Yeah,
plane
there's
who
another girl
also.
that's sitting next to her, and after after the dude goes to the bathroom, that's when she's like, well, this cute guy, I guess he's just a nutcase, told me about this video tape, and that's when the friend starts, you know, asking questions, because evidently she's also watched the video tape, and that's when
Yes.
she goes to the bathroom door and pounds on the bathroom door and asks, "Did he make a copy of the video? Because that's how you pass it along."
Uh,
Evidently, this dude didn't know that or wasn't told, and that's when shit goes awry, and it almost looks like the plane goes down.
Oh yes, it does go down probably because since all the screens went crazy, the the devices probably stopped functioning properly.
Yep. So, and then
Oh,
after that, it goes to our main girl.
oh yeah. Actually, first we get to see the Professor Gabriel Brown.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, that's right. He is. Is he in an antique shop, or is he in a videotape shop, or
I
something?
think it's public some marketplace, an antiquity fair or something like that.
Yeah, and the girl that he's with, he basically is all like fascinated by the VCR because it's an antique way of. I love how they call it antique because I still had a VHS growing up. You know.
So do I. I barely, I barely ever use it, but get this. A while ago, I was actually trying to copy a videotape, not Samara's videotape, but someone's wedding video from VHS to DVD. And guess what? My
What?
VCR, which is quite old, still works perfectly. But my Samsung DVD recorder, which okay, it's also old, but not VCR old. It no longer works, and I wasn't able to copy that tape.
I still have a I still have a VHS DVD combo machine.
Oh, nice. I kind of wish I had that.
I still have a way to
I don't
if
have it hooked up, but I still have it.
Yeah.
I still have a way to tape VHS to a video file, and I also have a similar thing for a record player where I can tape anything on a record into an audio file myself. So if I wanted to, I could connect a VHS player that I have, and if I found a VHS that is not on DVD, I could probably record it as long as it was in good shape.
Mm,
I just don't have my computer set up that way right now.
makes sense.
But in any case, but yeah, it's interesting that he calls it ancient and an art form and something of that nature, just to give that aesthetic value that VHS is like now what beta is to some people.
Yes.
Who remembers the beta tape?
Uh, I sorry. What tape?
Who the beta tape? BETA.
Beta tape. Oh,
Oh,
let's see what that is.
you don't know
Ah.
what a beta tape is? It's like a tiny version of a VHS.
Actually, yes, I know it. I just didn't know the word for it. I just Googled it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that does look familiar.
Up until a certain point in time, video cameras still used them. So
Uh, yeah, actually, I wonder if we still have. We used to have a camera that I think was using those beta tapes, or was it VHS-C? Let me see what that looks like. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think I think the tapes our camera was using was VHS-C, not beta.
Yeah, which was like the next version of a beta tape, to tell you the truth. So
Yeah, I do
it was
still
just
have some VHS-C tapes and an uh, adapter, if that's an English word for it, that you can load that VHS-C tape into and then just put it into a regular VCR and play it like a VHS tape.
yeah. I've got a couple of those too. You stick the tiny thing into the VHS, and then you put it into the player, and that's how you play it. But yeah, it's an adapter, so to speak. But yeah. But anyways, let's get back to the movie. Where are we? We are just about to, where we meet the main girl after we okay. So the professor who is played by um our TV personality that we know on the Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, Leonard.
Yeah. He basically finds a VHS that says "Watch Me" or "Watch This" inside the VHS player that he found, and he basically plays it, and you see the images like kind of show up and whatnot, and then I guess that's when we meet the main girl, or should I say the last girl?
Yes.
Because there's always a last somebody or other who's in the horror movies, um, and I guess she's going out with a dude. I think the dude that she's going out with, his name is Holt,
Yes.
and she's about to say goodbye to him because he's going to go off to college.
That's right.
If I remember correctly. Take us from there.
Oh, yeah. So, oh, yeah. So he goes to college. Before that happens, oh, they talk about this Roman story, this from the Greek mythology of Orpheus and Eurydice, if that's the English word for that name.
Yeah, that's the story of a Greek mythology story about a man who, uh, I guess, his lover's soul was taken to Hades. Of course,
Yes.
he refers to him as the devil, which I guess if you really thought about it, yes, Hades is like the Greek version of the devil.
Oh, pretty much.
But yeah, he's got a hold of her soul. So in order to get her soul back, and he's only got one chance to do so, he cannot look backwards, not even once. But I do think somewhere along the way he does. And not
Uh,
only does he lose her, but I thought he lost his own soul too.
I forgot that part, but yeah, he did look back and lost her. Yeah.
Which is kind of funny because there's a similar story where someone can't look back in the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. So,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, when Lot and his family are escaping, and they are told that they shouldn't look back, but Lot's wife does look back, and she is is, is turned into a pillar of salt.
yeah, very
Which
similar story to that. the Greek mythology story. So I always thought it was kind of weird.
Yeah, when I was reading the Bible, I also found that pillar of salt thing weird because Lot's wife is never mentioned before or after that moment. The only thing we get about her in the story is that she looked back and became a pillar of salt. Like it doesn't.
Well, if I remember correctly, Lot's wife was part of the. She lived in the city of Sodom and or Gomorrah,
Sodom,
and
yeah.
in order to save his wife, Lot was told by God basically that he was going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, but he
By
wanted to save his wife, and he said the
uh,
only way that you could is to never look back.
yeah, they were. His wife, and the daughters were escaping. The daughters also had husbands. I forgot what happened to them.
Yeah,
I
I don't
guess.
remember what happened to them, but it was a similar story to like Noah and the reason why he wanted to save, or why Noah was to save his wife and his sons and their chosen wives. So,
Uh, yeah, with the only difference that in Noah's story we didn't end up getting incest afterwards.
oh no, yep, true enough. But let's get back to the story at hand now.
Yeah.
There were definite. I just think that there were similarities. And we only went off on subject matter because of the story that they brought up with the Greek mythology. I thought it was interesting that they did because it is an interesting story.
Ooh, yeah. Oh wow! I've just seen on Wikipedia. Uh, I was theorizing that this movie might have been partially inspired by Spiral, and now on Wikipedia it actually directly says so, based on Spiral by Koji Suzuki. Nice.
Okay, so
So,
since you know it's based on Spyro, what is similar to the book in this movie?
oh, there are several similarities. First, if you remember, okay, I'm not sure how much it was touched upon in the movie. There are some differences between Spiral book and movie,
Well, the
but
virus changes.
yeah, the virus mutates, and in this case, we get the videotape changing. In Spiral, there was also the virus mutated in multiple ways. Actually, one thing was it was also it also began spreading through Asakawa's writing through his journal, which was eventually published as a novel, not only through the videotape itself.
Which doesn't show up in this movie. There's no journal or anything like that.
No, there
And
is.
there's and in Ring 2, wasn't there like a book that the mother like drew or something like that, and that didn't show up here either.
Yeah, there was a book like that in the ring too, but the book didn't. Those who read that book didn't get cursed or anything like that.
So there are
Uh,
quite a few things that it didn't seem to follow.
well, no, this movie isn't a carbon copy of Spiral, but it does have some similarities. Like in Spiral, the virus mutates. In this case, the video changes. Like we get this video inside the video that didn't exist before. In
And then, of
Spiral,
course,
we
we've got the braille writing on the girl's hand, which eventually spells out.
rebirth.
Yep.
which is another thing from Spiral, where Sadako was also reborn, very much literally. And in Spiral, when Mai Takano watched the tape, the virus in Spiral, she saw it on the day of her ovulation. Okay, we didn't get that here, since this version of the story doesn't deal with medical terminology. But yeah, Mai Takano watched the tape on the day of her ovulation, which is why the virus inside her body took the form of a sperm cell, and it fertilized her egg, and that was how the reborn Sadako was conceived. And in this case, Julia saw a different version of the tape from the usual, and eventually it was revealed that Samara will be reborn from her.
Yeah,
And
but in this
another
particular movie, that
another
didn't happen.
yes, sorry, what?
In this particular movie, that did not happen.
Well, it did not happen, but the ending kind of implies that it's what will happen eventually.
Well, yeah,
Uh, yeah, and also the Braille code. In Spiral, we also had a message, not in Braille, but in numbers, that this guy Ando was decoding, and it spelled out the word DNA, and there was also some other coded word that was decoded into something else. I forgot what exactly, but yeah, that part was also there, and also. In this new video that we get in this movie, all the new imagery, like the dead bird, the church, and all that, one image, if you remember, is a serpent biting its own tail, and its whole body is forming a ring. I think that's pretty much another allusion to Spiral, where it was revealed that the virus was usually shaped like a ring, but when it entered my Takano's body, the ring was broken, and that's how the virus took the form of a sperm cell. So, and at the very end, when Julia cuffs a string of Samara's hair out, at the end of that string there is some, I don't know, I guess a
Cicada.
little larger cluster of hair, but that whole thing, the shape of it also somewhat resembled a sperm cell.
Yeah, just a little bit. And a cicada popped out of it, or something like that. They use cicadas a lot in this movie.
Oh yeah, which I kind of wonder what was the point of adding them into the whole equation when we already had flies as insects relevant to this story.
No clue. And there was something about cicadas in a wall flyer at the no longer church or whatnot that the kid was looking at. I think it was Holt, but um, I thought that Holt had actually died before she went to that valley place.
No, Holt doesn't die.
Okay.
He does disappear for a while, which is which we eventually find out is because he wanted to keep Julie out of the whole thing until he hopefully found a way out. He, I guess, wasn't sure that he was going to survive.
Well, yeah, and apparently somehow along the way, Julia actually does watch the video But apparently, she didn't watch the video that Samara wanted her to watch it until it was uncovered later by the professor.
Uh, Actually, I guess it was said that she kind of did see that video, but when when she made the copy, or when the copy was made for her, it turned out different from the original. It contained extra imagery, and it was therefore larger than the original. But then they were editing it, and when they took all the frames that were added by supernatural means that didn't exist before, and when they put all those frames together, that's what gave them a new video.
Yep. And also, the professor seems to be like the mastermind behind this. It seems like there's a whole slew of people who evidently are trying to figure out the imagery and connect everything and figure out like what it all means or whatnot.
Yeah, he was trying to do a study. That's what Holt told Julia. How he got. She's like, how did you get involved in this? And it was because he was trying to do a study because he believed that the soul can live on. I believe is what it was after somebody dies. And that's what he was trying to prove and find out by having everybody watch the video. So that's what
I imagine that because he's a professor and he's trying to come up with a thesis that of some sort. Often times when you're a professor, sometimes a paper on something cool will keep your funding going. So I'm assuming that he was doing something similar to that. But I do believe that Philippe, you have alluded that there is a secret underground group of people who evidently watched the video, and it's kind of like a cult.
Yeah, I think that subplot connects to that short movie Rings of the same title as this one, where which we did last time, and we were doing the Ring 2. There was also a subculture like that where people were experimenting with the videotape, seeing how far they can come, how much they can document before they have someone else watch it to save themselves. They also use the term tail for the person who will watch the tape for you so that you survive. They use the same term both in the short movie and in this one.
Okay. The tail, yeah. The tail is the visions, if I remember correctly.
The the tail is what they call a person who will watch the tape for you so that you survive.
Yeah, but in any case, so but the beginning of this movie, it has someone who evidently watched the darn thing, but was not told the rules. So, but moving forward, once they figure out the new imagery, that's when Julia starts following the images, and she recognizes the picture of the church on the wall somewhere, and she's like, okay, I'm going to that valley place, and I believe Hulk goes with her.
Yes. Oh, and we skipped over the part when this woman Sky gets screwed up by Samara.
Oh yeah, Sky evidently answered the other end of the video feed that her boyfriend Holt had been at one point in time. I guess his roommates must have taken him to some party, and it came in on one of his uh, you know video calls that he was on with Julia with, and because it was left so abrupt, that's when she followed him to figure out where the heck he was.
Yeah, and truth be told, in that scene, I really dislike the professor's dismissive attitude towards her. Like, if he knows Holt and he realizes that she has lost contact with him, and he knows him and knows that he could help resolve whatever apparently went wrong between them, but he doesn't care. He just tells her
Well,
to
it's not
move
that he
on
doesn't
and see.
care. I think he also realizes how dangerous this is and doesn't want to involve people unless you know he needs to. And in a way, he was trying to protect her from it all too. You know, so
Yeah, but he thinks it's okay to leave her with unanswered questions.
better with unanswered questions than actually being cursed with the damn thing. In my mind, better to keep her in the dark and let her move on in her own right if she has the ability to. But I don't think she had the ability to move on, and that's when she ran into Sky. And Sky thinks that she's going to be her next. What is it, tail?
Uh, yeah, I, I think she did think that. Oh yeah, yeah. She tried to get Julia to watch the tape to save her.
But she couldn't because number one, Holt was trying to tell her, "Don't watch the tape," and she locked herself in a room, and the girl couldn't get at her. But she heard Samara. She heard the death of this girl, basically.
Yes.
Of course, when
And
she went and tried to get the keys, well,
what did
spewed
you
out.
think? Oh yeah, Major Spudal. What did you think about the scene of Sky trying to fight Samara back?
She wasn't going to win.
Yeah, and I remember
If
when I
Samara's coming after you, and there's no, and you haven't if you haven't made sure someone else watched watched your shit and copied your video, you're screwed.
Yeah, and I remember when I was watching this movie in theaters, like that was supposed to be a scary scene, right? Samara coming to
Well,
kill
the
someone.
professor was kind of surprised that the girl hadn't copied the tape and had someone watch it yet, and he kept trying to tell her, "Hey, you need to do this in order to survive."
Yeah.
And
Well,
I guess she was one of those that didn't believe that shit.
yes. So I'm sorry. What I wanted to say was when I was watching this movie in theaters, this scene of Samara coming after Sky, it was probably supposed to be scary, but in the theater, everyone was laughing their asses off at that scene.
Uh, yeah, that appears to
Myself
be the
included.
audience. That appears to be the audiences these days. More humor than being scared. Although if they were Although if the shit happened to them, they'd be the ones screaming.
Well, yeah, but I guess it can no longer be scary when you know what to expect. I mean, the moment of the idea of Samara coming out of a TV screen and killing someone just by looking at them, it can be scary in the first movie when you don't expect it. But once you know how it goes, it cannot be scary again.
Well, yeah, but still, if the shit happened in real life to someone, I guarantee you that person would be screaming if they knew that an entity like Samara actually existed. And if you haven't copied the tape yourself, then you're screwed too. So,
Oh yeah.
I mean, what if you figured out that Samara was an actuality, or Sadako was in fact a real entity in real life? If you figured out that it was a real entity and you knew how to provoke it, would you?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I had some glitches. Can you please repeat the question?
If you realized that Sadako or Samara were real entities in real life and you knew how to provoke them, what would you do? Would you mess with her, or would you leave her alone?
You mean would I watch the tape and get involved in the whole thing or not?
Yeah. Would you or wouldn't you?
That's a good question. If someone just told me that there was a tape that can do this and that to you, I probably wouldn't believe it, and I would probably watch it. But if I actually knew that it was real and how it works, then I'm not sure.
What about you, Tammy? If somebody told you that if you watched this tape and you were and it was a possibility that you could die in 7 days, would you watch
No,
it?
But what
but if I
if
accidentally did watch it, I'd find somebody that deserved to die to give it to.
Oh, that's good thinking.
Yeah. Well,
I,
that's about half the politicians out there. Anyway.
you beat me to it. I was just about to say I would try to arrange for it to be played at the government when they are all there.
Well, at the end of this movie, it seems like the virus spreads to a whole bunch of places. So.
Yes, that's probably yet another reference to Spiral.
But in any case, okay. So, what happens with the main girl? So, we, where are we at? Okay, we have just talked about Sky's death, and now she is on her way to what valley? What's the name of that valley that she goes to?
Sacrament Valley, it's the name of a town, from what I understood.
Yeah, apparently something happened there 30 years ago. What happened 30 years ago? There was the disappearance of another girl.
Yeah, that girl was supposedly Evelyn, Samara's biological mother, which, yeah, that's a major screw up of the continuity because that had to be long before that had to have happened much earlier, not only 30 years ago, because according to Wikipedia, the story of this movie takes place in 2015, and the first movie says that Samara was in that psychiatric hospital in 1970. So if Samara was, I think, 8 years old when she was thrown down the well, which means she had to be born in 1970. So the year when Evelyn disappeared, if we assume that was approximately 9 months before Samara was born, that would have been 1969. So from 1969 to 2015, it would have been 46 years, not 30 years.
Yeah. Well, this movie was also filmed in 2017.
Yes, yes,
So,
but story-wise, it supposedly takes place in 2015, but 2 years here or there. But they instead of 46 years, they said 30 years, and
yeah,
yeah,
and supposedly Samara was alive for 7 days in this one.
inside the well, yeah, that was also in the original.
Okay, yeah,
After she was thrown down the well, she lived for 7 more days before she died.
correct. But there has been variations, at least in the original Japanese ones, that she survived 30 years.
Oh
Yeah,
yes, that was said in Ringo too.
yeah, which was a strange one, anyways.
Yes, yes.
But yeah, we do have. Okay, so there is the mother of a child that evidently was friends with the mother. Uh, Evidently, they were in some music class together, which is kind of strange because Samara, well, no, Sadaku's situation was she was part of a troubadour group,
Uh,
music
uh,
group.
Sadako was a part of an acting troupe, but yeah, nice noticing. I didn't make that connection.
Well, yeah, acting, music, kind of like is in the same vicinity, you know. So, and sometimes it's been a music group, sometimes it's been an acting group. So, um, but yeah, it seems like they put the mother in that type of a situation, and I guess they um, it the mother of a kid that either went missing or no, but they went to a bed and breakfast, and the um, the woman who managed the bed and breakfast, she didn't really want to talk about the situation at the time, but Julia was asking questions about the pictures and whatnot, and eventually Holt ends up going and um, asking about you know things. Um, I believe he eventually asks the bed and breakfast lady a little bit more about the situation later
Uh,
on.
yeah, much later after they have already met Burke, and who else was there
Well,
in the
yeah.
meantime?
Okay, so basically, uh, there are there are several things that happen on their way to Sacramento Valley, like the fact that Julia sees a woman who is pregnant on the side of the road, which eventually she finds out is the mother of Samara.
Yes, yes, that was Evelyn, or apparition of her.
She keeps Julia keeps seeing her visions, and so she sees a cross over a grave, and so they go to this cemetery, and she finds this unmarked grave, and I believe Holt actually helps open it. And when she goes inside, there's a message scrawled for her on the side of the wall, and it basically tells Julia that she will find you, and she's shown an image of the well, and the grave is missing a body, so obviously the body was moved or whatnot, and so another thing is there's an image of a circular thing. I think the closed image of the well, which it flashes to a light type thing, and it was a black circle. And she realizes that she stood underneath that thing before, and it was inside the no longer church. So she breaks into the place while I guess her boyfriend Holt is out. Well, I guess he went out to look for food, but he ran into the bed and breakfast lady and decided to, talk to her. But meanwhile, while he was doing that, she'd left the room, and basically went back to that church.
Actually, I think, yeah, she had that vision while she was inside that tomb or whatever it was. But I think it was Holt who opened the door for her to get out, and he broke that vision, if I remember correctly.
Well, yeah, something happened where he shook her, and that's when that's when the guy with the dog shows up, who leads them to the blind man, which that's all they know him as, this blind man who takes care of the dead.
Yeah, we don't know his real relevance to the story at that point.
Well, no. Ultimately, they were brought to him because she was looking for Samara, and he knows it, and he basically warned them both against searching for her, at least in that moment. And he told, he actually gripped Julia's hand and realized that she was marked the way she was. And I think he actually read what that mark actually said, and he told her, "Beware."
Uh, yes, he did. And interestingly enough, there was a deleted scene that was, I think, a part of it was included in a trailer where, in the actual movie, as they eventually edited it, it's Gabriel, the professor, who reveals that it's the Braille code, and Holt decodes it and realizes that the word is rebirth. But there was a deleted scene when I guess it was supposed to be this scene when they meet Burke, when he touches Julia's hand, and he is actually the one who reads the word rebirth, and he reveals it to them at that point. So they deleted that scene, but yeah.
I'm actually kind of glad that they deleted that because it works better the other way, where you kind of have to learn it like afterwards. After they burn the body, and well, we'll get to that. But yeah, see, I think the Julia is kind of stupid for going off on her own to begin with. I mean, she goes back to the church, breaks into the church, finds out that that underneath the dripping light, there's a trap door in the ground underneath the floor. The floor. She finds what looks like evidence of either one or two people being kept down there. And she has a vision of the mother like running out at her. And that's when she ends up going back to the to Burke to ask questions because she's got questions. But while that's happening, he's something clicks in Holt's mind, and he ends up going back to look at a picture because he asks about the priest with the bed and breakfast lady.
Yes.
And he looks at the picture, and of course, it's Burke in the background. So that's what puts him on to going and checking where Julia is, and when he realizes she's not there, then he's quick to think, oh shit, she's probably gone over to Burke's,
Yes.
Now she's shown up to Burke, and I think he invites her in. And at first he's a little bit friendly, but he knows something is up. And he basically attacks her once he figures out she knows what she knows. But while he has attacked her and trying to strangle her, Samara is actually pleading with her to not leave her. So somehow she gets the priest to fall down some stairs, and I think he's knocked out for a little bit. Meanwhile, Holt has shown up. He sees the blood that is smeared on the window that she did, and Julia is led to where the body of Samara is buried.
True, yes.
Because she's not buried in a well. She's buried in the walls of this dude's house.
Well, she
And
was taken out of the well in the first movie by Rachel.
yeah, but how did the body of Samara get in the walls of this priest's house? You know?
Oh, well, he took the bones out of the grave because they were. Her bones being there was supposedly what was causing the floods and all that,
Oh, okay. So her spiritual
if I
entity
understood correctly.
what was causing the floods in town.
Uh, I think so, if I understood correctly.
Okay, so the townspeople actually got together and moved her body so that she could no longer cause trouble in town.
Yeah.
Supposedly. And so she basically uncovered the body. What Julia did not realize is that her body was now a vessel, a possible vessel for the spirit of Samara to possess.
Oh yeah, so apparently in Spiral, what made Sadako able to use Mai Takano in a different way was Mai watching the tape on the day of her ovulation, and here it was apparently the fact that Julia was the only person who was not afraid of Samara.
Okay, but when did she get marked?
Yes, on the first day.
Oh, the first day that she watched the tape.
Yeah, it was said at some point in the movie that it's usually different. I think Holt said that he was marked on day 5, although his mark was different probably, while Julia was marked on day 1 or something like that was said, I think.
You know what's funny is how I mean, of all the people that the professor had actually had watched the tape, and they speak of this mark, having it on the fifth day or whatnot, or how the heck did they not realize what the mark was until then? I don't
Uh,
understand.
In their case, the mark was probably different. It probably wasn't the Braille code. That was probably only for Julie. In other cases, the mark is probably a handprint, like.
Oh, okay, yeah, the handprint on his back. Uh, she Julia saw that on Holt's back when he was laying next to
Yes,
her in the bed and breakfast, if I remember correctly.
I think so, yeah.
Tammy, did you have any thing to say about anything that we've talked about so far? Haven't
Um,
heard from you in a while.
I was just listening to you guys.
Okay. And I know there was a moment where the professor guy actually went after them to tell them like what he had figured out. And I
Yeah,
thought that
unfortunately, he gets in a very bad accident and
well,
dies.
yeah, and both of them witness electricity pole fall onto the car, and it basically electrocutes him to death.
They do well, yeah. It just misses her because he pulls her out of the way. But the professor was trying to tell her something, you know.
Yep,
And
Yeah,
isn't that when he hands over his journal to her?
yep. And it's not her that actually figures out what the professor was trying to say. It's Holt later on after they
uh,
burn the body.
yes.
But that being said, there is kind of a fight that goes on with the priest again, and the priest tries to extinguish the life of Julia, but Samara appears to him and proves to him that just because he's blind doesn't mean he can't get to her.
Oh yeah,
Or
truth be told.
just because he's blind doesn't mean she can't get to him, should I say.
Yeah, he is actually very much threatening for a blind guy.
Oh yeah. And she basically takes his life, and then of course they think that the only thing that is left is burning the body of Samara. But
Oh, yeah, did you realize that before Samara killed Burke, she fixed his eyes so he could see her after all?
yep, that's what I meant about apparently she can get to him no matter what.
Ah, yes, yes. That part was probably also introduced to answer the fans' questions. Like throughout the years, people were probably asking, "Hey, if Samara kills people by having them see her, how would she kill a blind person?" So okay, a blind person wouldn't be able to watch the tape to begin with unless they could theoretically blind themselves after watching the tape. But yeah, this reveals what Samara would do in that scenario.
Well, um, uh, I imagine giving him back his sight and then seeing her the way she was would give him such a fright that maybe he would die of natural causes.
Yeah.
But we hear him scream and we hear him die. Off screen, if I remember correctly, because you don't really see it. All you see is that his eyes turn back to regular color, and you hear him scream.
Well, and you see his face getting distorted, and you see him dropping down dead, if I remember correctly.
Just a little bit. But yeah. So they end up burning the body, and then she's taking a shower, and she literally, while um, while Holt is looking at the notebook that the professor had, and showing exactly the words. Oh, he found out that the markings were braille. He went to the computer and figured out what the braille thing meant. It meant rebirth, but while he was figuring all that out, something happened with his computer, which sent the video out to like a ton of fucking people.
Oh, yes.
But the word was rebirth, and we saw in the shower that the girl was peeling her skin back, and something was happening. And while she was looking in the mirror, you could see Samara like flash a couple of times in the mirror. So I imagine that she is now possessed by the spirit of Samara.
Oh, yeah, that ending is kind of ambiguous. Like, it's up to interpretation. If you watch this movie without knowing Spiral, then you can assume that it just means that Samara inhabited Julie's body permanently, and that was like rebirth for Samara. Or if you realize all the similarities with Spiral, it's also somewhat implied that Julie might be pregnant and give birth to Samara.
Possibly, but is she really old enough for that? I guess we'll have to see.
Is is Julie old enough to give birth? Well,
Well, she seems like she's a kid, you know, like she's only 17 or so. You
well,
know,
I'm not sure. Wasn't she also in college already?
I'm not sure. I know he was,
Yeah.
but she's the one who went and visited him. So if she was in college, why would she have all this time to go and find his butt at his own college? If she were that schooled up in a college, she probably wouldn't have time to worry. You know,
Oh,
but
well, she is old enough to drive a car, apparently.
apparently, but in any case, that's pretty much it, isn't it?
Oh, yes, I think so.
So at the end of the day, bring us into production.
Yeah, so what do we think about the production? Let's hear Tammy first. We didn't hear much of you, Tammy.
I thought the production was okay. I mean, the effects were pretty decent, and you know, um, yeah, I especially like that one. With the TV. That was neat.
What what one with the TV?
When the TV was flat on the floor.
Oh yeah,
Ah, uh, Sky's death.
So, but yeah, like I said, I think they did a good job on the effects and everything. So I don't think they like overdid it. I think they did a good job.
okay. What about you, Boris? What did
Well, I
you
pretty
think
much
about the
agree
production?
with them. I pretty much agree with Tammy. I think they did do a good job on the effects. When it comes to that, they didn't deviate too much from the original. I mean, from the first two American Ring movies. And I like all the imagery they added that can kind of ring a bell if you are familiar with the Japanese part of the franchise. I find that pretty cool. Uh, and yeah, when it comes to production, I really don't have anything to complain about.
Okay. As far as production goes, I thought it was pretty decent. I mean, I liked the effects of the lightning around the car. I also do like that moment where the TV was flat on the floor, and you thought that maybe Samara couldn't like come out of the TV because the screen was facing the ground. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen, she can get out of the screen even if it's facing down. So
Yeah, and if the screen is too small, like the screen of a phone, she will just gather insects around the phone and they will all morph into her.
yeah, something like that.
That was
A
also
little
pretty
similar to
cool.
Tim Allen, a little similar to Tim Allen and the Santa Claus when there wasn't a fireplace, but it works. But in any case, um, so yeah, production to me it was pretty cool. I think it worked for what they needed it, and they didn't, like Tammy said, overdo it. I think they used just enough. You're not supposed to, in my mind, you're not supposed to overdo it CGI, like you know.
Yes.
But it's it's just enough to move the story along. But in any case, did anyone uh, notice the music at all?
Well, there were a few songs. They were listed in the credits. I would say they aren't bad as songs in general, but I think for a Ring movie, this music was a little unfitting. Like in the first two Ring movies, there is a lot of this very somber music, kind of something between melancholic and ominous, which contributes a lot to the atmosphere, creates this very specific Ring atmosphere. And in this movie, they did the music very differently, and it kind of they kind of made it go along with some as if that was some teenage movie. Okay, the main characters were teenagers, kind of older teenagers, young adults, but yeah. With the music they chose for this movie, it's kind of not the same atmosphere as the previous two.
No, but the composer of this particular movie, his name is Matthew Margeson, and he has been okay. He was the composer for Lyle Lyle Crocodile, the Kingsmen movies, Rocket Man. The that was the story of Elton John. Truth or Dare, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, Eddie the Beagle, Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, Kick Ass 2, Night of the Living Carrots, Skyline. Guess that's pretty much it. But yeah. Oh, and Puss in Boots: The Three Diablos, which was a very short, like, video that they did for the Puss in Boots movie. So, but anyways, I guess he was a composer in the Star Wars universe with a TV series called Young Jedi Adventures, which I'm assuming that is a animated thing of Star Wars, but from about 2023 to 2024. But in any case, so I guess he's actually done quite a bit. Anyways, moving on to favorite scenes and our favorite characters. So, Boris, favorite scene and our favorite characters.
Who favorite character? Probably Julia. Favorite scene? Oh, well, I would probably have to go with Burke's death, but I also liked the ending where the whole rebirth thing was revealed. And I also kind of liked Sky's death because her fight with Samara, to call it that way, was hilarious.
Yeah, I kind of like that too. But heading over to, is that pretty much it then for you?
Uh, I I guess. I mean, I liked Julia as a character precisely because, as they said, she was not afraid of Samara. And back in the day when I was mainly into the Ring franchise, like when I was a huge fan of it, I was always kind of wondering what would happen if someone actually watched the tape precisely because they wanted to see Samara and interact with her if they were not afraid of her, if that would have made the outcome any different. So this kind of touches upon that idea, and I found that pretty interesting. And I also liked Julie because she was fighting for what she wanted and wouldn't let anyone make her give up.
Okay. Tammy, favorite characters and/or favorite scenes?
Well, I also like Julia for a lot of the same reasons, you know. Um, so, um, my favorite scene is that I like the fight with Sky, you know, and that how she came out of that TV when it was flat on the floor, like that was just awesome, I think. But that was, yeah, it was, she, you know, she's unplugging this and unplugging that and undoing this and, you know, and the whole thing, you know, it was really cool. I like that. So
Okay.
Yes.
Me myself, well, I do like that particular moment, but my favorite character was in fact Burke.
What?
Yeah, for the simple fact that I like him as an actor. Um,
Ah.
I, I think Julia kind of annoyed me with some of her choices. Like, why would you go investigate this shit on your own? That's one of the stupid things that people do in horror films. Whenever they go
Well,
investigate things on their own, they get in trouble.
well, I don't think so. I mean, first she began investigating because her boyfriend went missing, and then it was because she was instructed to make a copy of the video in order to survive, but she couldn't make a copy, so she had to figure out what Samara wanted from her and what she needed to do in order to survive.
I get it, but she still ended up going off on her own. She should have never gone off on her own. I'm sorry. I disagree with choices that people make. You should always do things with people. Doing things in
Oh,
groups is better than being on your own doing shit.
ah, okay, that's true.
But at least that's how I feel. I mean, I get a woman's independence is like a true thing that uh, women seem to like to do everything on their own. But in this case, Tammy, would you have gone off on your own?
I don't know.
You don't know whether you would have gone off on your own to investigate all this shit on your own, but with no one.
I guess it would depend, you know, like if there was something that came up that nobody was around and I needed to get the answer to it, you know, but probably not all of it, you know. I probably wouldn't have done all of it on my own. Maybe certain parts.
Okay. Well, that's pretty much. And I enjoy the part where uh, they finally reveal the rebirth thing and the possibility that you know what they did not exactly destroy Samara or free her. Well, I guess they did kind of free her by giving her a body, but at least that is the suggestion that is what Julia is for. She is a vessel.
Yes, definitely.
But in any case, at the end of everything, did anyone else have anything else to add?
Not really, I guess. So we've been here only for an hour and a half, not as long as my usual ring ramblings.
Well, no, and probably a good thing, but or a bad thing, depending on how you feel about it. I mean, you found a lot that you found what is it wrong about it? So
Well, only the fact that it contradicts the previous movies in the storyline. That's
which because it does so, I'm glad they didn't name it Ring 3.
a good point. Yeah, I guess it kind of can work as a sequel to the first movie, but
Or just a standalone Ring movie.
yeah, in a way. Like, yeah, even if
Because
the
it
Ring
doesn't
2.
even involve Rebecca at any given point in time, or her child. So it's kind
Wait,
of a standalone Ring movie.
I'm sorry, who is Rebecca?
Or what wasn't that her name? Rachel. Rachel.
Rachel. Ah, yeah.
I was thinking Rachel. But
Y-
yeah, Rachel and her kid. They didn't show up in this movie at all.
Yeah,
And in fact, the investigation in either one of those two movies didn't show up in here at all either. So you could almost call this a standalone Ring movie in the Ring American Ring universe.
oh, yeah, kind of. I mean, even if the Ring 2 didn't exist, this movie contradicts even the first one because it was said in the first one that Samara was thrown down the well, and I guess her hospitalization happened also in the same year, 1978. And this movie takes place in 2015, and it implies that Emily's disappearance, which was before Samara was even born, was only 30 years ago, and that doesn't add up at all.
Nope, it definitely does not. So, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you enjoyed our discussion on this film. Whether or not you enjoyed the film or enjoyed our discussion, let us know down in the comments. And I guess we'll see you next time here on Delusions of Grandeur. Everyone say good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Alrighty. Shall we go? Let's go into our outro here. Good night, everyone. Give me a moment. All right.